Welcome back to the deep dive. If you've ever felt like your life, on paper, looks just about perfect, but you can't shake the feeling that something crucial is missing, then this deep dive is for you.
It is. We are immersing ourselves today in a really magnificent source, Elif Shafak's novel, The 40 Rules of Love.
And it's a fascinating book because it operates on these two completely different planes that are still somehow connected.
Exactly. On one hand, you've got this modern story of Ella Rubinstein who's living in this, you know, comfortable but stagnant suburban life.
Hmm.
And then on the other, you're thrown back to the 13th century, to the relationship between the famous scholar Rumi and this radical wandering dervish Shams of Tabriz.
So our mission today is to kind of pull out the thread that connects these two stories, separated by almost a millennium. The book calls it The Beautiful Way.
It does. And the beautiful way is, well, it's essentially this path of radical love and acceptance. The novel argues that true faith, true fulfillment, it comes from the heart, not from, rigid rules or intellectual gymnastics.
It's a roadmap for transformation.
It is. And what we see in the source is that this transformation, it almost always kicks off with some kind of crisis.
Right. Both Ella and Rumi, in their own ways, are completely stuck. They have success, they have status, but they are spiritually, well, they're bankrupt.
And that's the core idea, I think. Life often brings you to this pivot point, often around age 40, that pushes you towards something deeper. And the only answer, the book suggests, is this timeless philosophy of love,
So many people confuse comfort with happiness.
or intellectual mastery with actual wisdom. And it takes something big, like a metaphorical bomb, or in Ella's case, a mysterious manuscript, to shatter that illusion.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's unpack this with Ella. She's our modern seeker. She's a wife, a mother. She's turning 40, and she is just deeply unfulfilled.
And it's not a material suffering at all. It's emotional. She's become invisible, mostly to herself. She feels like she just put her real self on a shelf years ago.
And her whole crisis seems to be rooted in this need for control. We see it so clearly in her marriage.
Oh, absolutely. The source mentions how when her husband, David, comes home, she'll often just pretend to be asleep.
It's not just avoiding a fight.
No, it's not. It's a strategy. It's this act of disengagement because it's safer to pretend to be dormant than to actually confront the deadness in her own life.
That's where that control freak label she gives herself comes from, right? When she's talking to Aziz, the author of the manuscript.
Exactly. She needs rules, she needs order, because the emotional chaos simmering underneath is just too terrifying to face.
And it even comes out in her dreams. There's that one about the bazaar.
Yes, the recurring nightmare. She's lost in this huge foreign marketplace, and when she tries to ask for help, she's voiceless. She can't make a sound.
Which is a perfect metaphor for her life.
Yeah.
These meticulous surroundings that have actually trapped her and silenced her.
And then her awakening begins. She gets this job reviewing a novel called Sweet Blasphemy about Rumi and Shams, and she starts emailing with the author, this mysterious figure named Aziz.
This is where it gets a little uncanny.
It really is. The source makes a point of this. When Ella finally sees a photo of Aziz, she's stunned because he looks almost exactly like the mental image she had formed of Shams of Tabriz.
Wow. So it's like the past is literally reaching out to her.
Yes, it's a sign that the guidance she needs is here, and it's going to arrive in the form of love. And Aziz challenges her right away. He questions the very foundation of her life choices.
He does. There's that quote from his manuscript early on about love and marriage.
A very powerful one. He says, "Love is not only a sweet feeling bound to come and quickly go away." He suggests the real tragedy is how many people choose the reliable, safe partner over the one they truly love. They mistake stability for spiritual nourishment.
And that's exactly what Ella did. She chose the reliable man, David.
She did. And that same choice, that tension between safety and a kind of spiritual fire, is precisely what we see in Rumi's life 800 years earlier. He was the definition of the reliable man.
A respected scholar, successful.
He had all the answers, just
Yeah.
none of the wisdom.
Which brings us to Shams of Tabriz. He wasn't a typical preacher, he was a wandering dervish.
Right. And for anyone unfamiliar, a dervish is a Sufi mystic, someone who often takes a vow of poverty and travels in search of divine truth. And when Shams arrives in Baghdad in 1242, he immediately challenges the establishment.
Because he's not there for the masses.
No. His mission is to enlighten someone who is already considered enlightened. His mission is Rumi.
He went straight to the top. So what was his core teaching? What was this beautiful way he was bringing?
It really boils down to prioritizing the heart over the head. His central teaching is just so clear. The path to the truth is a labor of the heart, not of the head. Make your heart your primary guide, not your mind.
That's incredibly radical, especially in a time and place that so valued intellect and scholarship.
It is. Shams saw the intellect as, well, as a cage. It's cautious, it's restrictive, it's always afraid of consequences.
Hmm.
But love, he argued, is bold. It's an adventure. It's willing to risk everything. Intellect has its dictionary with all the approved meanings. But the heart writes a whole new one.
And he didn't just teach this, he showed it in a way that, frankly, still feels shocking. I mean, the famous story with the books.
The ultimate confrontation. Rumi was defined by his library. It was his identity, his father's legacy. Shams saw that Rumi was trapped by all that knowledge.
So he destroyed it.
He destroyed it. He took Rumi's most beloved books and just tossed them into a fountain.
I have to stop you there because that feels less like spiritual guidance and more like, well, intellectual vandalism. How is an act that aggressive part of a path of love? Isn't the beautiful way supposed to be gentle?
That is the crucial question, isn't it? And it gets at the necessary violence of a true transformation. Shams was forcing Rumi to die before death.
To shed his old self.
Precisely. The act wasn't about the paper and ink. It was about forcing Rumi to surrender his ego, the identity he'd built as this great scholar, and the fact that Rumi just stood there, silent, trusting. That was the great surrender. He chose the unknown path of the heart over the safe identity of his mind.
And the result was, well, it was revolutionary. The respected scholar becomes this ecstatic, world-changing poet that we're still reading today.
He was completely reborn. The sources say Rumi saw himself as a conduit for divine inspiration. He went from reciting knowledge to becoming a pure channel for truth and feeling. Shams didn't just refine Rumi, he burned away the old version to let the real one out.
And this philosophy, this beautiful way, it didn't just apply to famous scholars. It was for everyone. Shams's love was totally non-judgmental.
Yes, he believed that every single person is self-sufficient in their search for the divine. You don't need a priest or a scholar as an intermediary, you just need courage.
And he proves it by seeking out the people on the margins of society.
He really does. Take Desert Rose the harlot. He finds her in this seedy part of Konya, and he doesn't judge her. He challenges her patron's smugness. He says that real filth comes from a closed heart, not from someone's profession.
He sees the divine in her when no one else will.
And he doesn't just see it, he encourages it. He tells her she can leave that life, that she can find God. And that's a huge thing to say to someone who is terrified of the brothel keeper she works for. He saw her light and refused to let her dim it for fear.
We see the same thing with Suleiman the drunk.
We do. Suleiman is publicly beaten and shamed, and Shams steps in, heals him, and reinforces that everyone's spiritual path is unique. He wasn't there to police people's morals. He was there to connect with their humanity.
But the source material doesn't just romanticize this, does it? There's a counterpoint.
A very sharp one. Hassan the beggar, who's a leper. He's completely cast out.
And he's the reality check. He embodies this real crushing pain of being rejected by society.
Yeah.
He hears Rumi's sermons about suffering and joy, and he's just bitter.
As he should be. He basically says, how can a man who has never known hunger or real rejection preach about their virtues? Before Shams, Rumi's spirituality was purely intellectual. Hassan represents the suffering Rumi couldn't yet understand.
Which is why Shams had to dismantle that worldview first.
Exactly. Only after that could Rumi genuinely embrace the kind of radical, all-encompassing love that Shams lived. There's that moment where Shams protects a woman from a mob, not by quoting scripture, but by challenging them. True believers would look beyond others' faults.
His message is that if your religion leads you to judgment, you're following your head, not your heart.
Which brings us full circle right back to Ella. She is wrestling with that exact same problem as the pre-Shams Rumi. How to let go of the rigid plan and just accept the beautiful chaos of it all.
So when she's talking to Aziz about being a control freak, he brings up the Sufi idea of the fifth element. We all know earth, air, fire, water. What's this fifth one?
The fifth element is the void. It's the uncontrollable divine force. You could call it destiny. It's the one thing that defies all our human plans and rules.
So Ella is trying to control the uncontrollable.
She's trying to put the very source of life's meaning into a neat little box. And Aziz tells her the beautiful way means you have to surrender to this unknowable force.
He also has that great metaphor about the world being a cauldron.
A huge cauldron, yes. Yeah. And every one of us is constantly adding ingredients to it. Our secret feelings, our hidden resentments, our moments of kindness. Ella's stagnation was adding bitterness to the mix. To change, she had to add a totally new ingredient, vulnerability.
And her moment of true freedom comes when she decides to die before death. to shed that old fear-based self.
It is the ultimate act of surrender. The source describes her setting the dinner table one last time. Fine china, folded napkins. It's perfect. Untouched.
A shrine to the empty life she built.
Exactly. And by walking away from that perfect symbol of order, she chooses the beautiful, uncertain way over the comfortable lie she was living.
So just like Rumi had to give up his books, Ella had to give up her perfectly ordered domestic life. It's the same spiritual challenge, just 8 centuries later.
And holding it all together is that one core rule of acceptance the novel keeps returning to. Whatever God does, he does beautifully. Neither a drop of kindness nor a speck of evil will remain unreciprocated.
It's a command to trust the process, even when it looks like destruction.
Especially then.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for us? The beautiful way isn't about finding a new set of rules. It's about having the courage to abandon our old ones, whether that's a career, a belief system, a relationship.
It's defining self-discovery as an act of courageous surrender. For both Rumi and Ella, their transformation came when they accepted the messy, inexplicable nature of love. The mind wants definitions, but the heart finds freedom in the unknown.
And that leaves us with that beautiful paradox from the book, something to really chew on. Love cannot be explained, it can only be experienced. Love cannot be explained, yet it explains all.
Which really means the only way to understand the beautiful way is to actually start walking the path. And that means, giving up the map.
So if you're listening to this, we want to leave you with that challenge. What's your personal dictionary of fixed beliefs about yourself, your life, your future that maybe needs a rewrite? What's that one cherished thing, whether it's physical like Rumi's books or emotional like Ella's need for control, that you might need to surrender to find your own connection to this beautiful way?
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.